So we're going to have Jeff and Steve, Ryan, Terry, Shane, you stay up there as well. Bring them up and see what we can pick their brains while we've got them all here.
The ones I got.
You are good.
So just a little housekeeping knowledge. Settle in and get some good questions. Make sure we get these guys' expertise.
You have the roving mic, so who would like the first question?
Yes, I'm Matt Miller, Grounds Construction Office. So I guess I got two questions. One for you, Shane, was did you say we're not going to be putting cores on survey 1, 2, 3? I thought you mentioned something about that earlier.
No, we will be using it.
Okay.
Yep. That one just hasn't been updated yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess on that one, we were having to do individual 193s on each core. Is there anything where maybe we could get all 8 cores onto one? Kind of figure to that.
Yep, we can shoot. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can try to get that done, Matt. No problem. Yeah.
Can you guys repeat the question a little bit too?
Yeah, he was asking about, instead of doing all the paperwork, or doing paperwork individually on each core to get them all wrapped together. And yes, we can do that. We can get that done. Yeah.
Okay. And then I guess for Jeff maybe, as far as breaking tack at night, been very unsuccessful in that process. I don't know if that's something where we need to look at the tack water mixture, maybe less water, less application rate, something like that. But I usually have no luck breaking tack at night.
Yeah, I think that's a possibility. Maybe decrease the dilution. There's other things out there. I guess we a little bit hesitant. We had some problems with some of the trackless tack. We've had some issues with that. So, yeah, if you decrease the dilution rate would probably be one recommendation.
I think you can all hear pretty well this mic, correct? It's the mic up front that you can't hear very well. Okay, we'll get that adjusted. I'm just louder than them.
I guess I will address this question to anybody up there that wants to answer it, but one of the things I think we struggle with as agencies and also as contractors is we get finished with a brand new project, we're proud of it, it looks good, but in the back of our minds we all know that the core holes and the headers are going to be the issue in 5 years. We've tried some different things. Just wondering from an industry standpoint if there's anybody that has some good solutions to sealing up the core holes and sealing up the header joints, and that's so that the early deterioration isn't such a problem. And is there also any works for non-destructive testing?
I'll take the core hole one.
As far as the core holes, River City's got an excellent way of filling those after they cut them and that. They've actually got a rod tamper. Works out really well. When I've come back, I've checked those and they seal them really nice. It's probably one of the best compactions I've seen done. We get a little relaxed when filling our core holes, but I'm very pleased with what River City does. As far as failures, I can't answer that one.
Can you describe what that process is?
It basically looks like an oversized slide hammer. What they use on
Old Marshall hammer.
We basically take a, you guys can probably hear me. I speak loud enough, I think. We take I'll take a 4-inch plunger and we get the water out of the hole. all right, after it's been drilled. And then I'll take and layer the mix back into the hole, and I'll use that Marshall hammer, and I'll hammer that material back in. And then when I put the material back in on the very top, I keep it up, probably an inch, and just hammer the material down in, and I'll clean the edges off and try to get the compaction that way.
You put that sponge in the plunger.
Yeah, I do. We put a sponge in a plunger. Sorry about that. Yeah, we're not trying to push the water down. We're not trying to push the water down into the hole. We're taking it out. We're extracting it with a sponge, and then we got a netting system that's wrapped around. It's a Denny Lore thing that I watched them do when I first come back on here a few years ago, and it really does work out nice. But it's the old Marshall hammer system.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah, Hall of Famer. I can't answer that other question on the header. He asked about the header. Okay, just a second.
One of the issues is the header always seems to be a little bit more segregated and open, and that typically is an area that we've tried some things with tack and sand just to try and seal them up better and build the voids up, but just wondered if anybody else had any other successful ways to seal that header joint up better. We do echelon paving, so we don't have the centerline joint. So our two main issues are headers and core holes.
As far as for like what Manats does, they'll put paper down at the end of their header joints, but they always cut back 2 foot for us, and we seem to get a nice header joint coming off of that. It's kind of defeating the purpose of the paper, but they go above and beyond and cut that header joint off. One other thing for like your tack, I know working with Detterman, they don't cut their tack, and that tack breaks quick. It's a little more pricey for them, but it's working well. But we're not paving at night either with them. So I can't answer on that, but with the less dilution, we have very good luck with that tack breaking.
Yeah, it's like a contract rated at an hour.
I bet I know what your name was.
Brian also asked about non-destructive testing. Is there a move towards that?
We've done some trial projects using intelligent compaction. It really doesn't address the QA portion. It's more of a QC with the roller pass counting, but it really doesn't reflect the compaction, so to speak. It's more as it cools, it's going to set up, and you're going to have it's going to get hard, but it's not dense. And so right now, intelligent compaction really is a QC tool more for the contractors to get consistent compaction, but it doesn't correlate to density at this point.
It's not ready to replace cork. Next question.
Okay, Renee, I'm going to touch on something there too. This don't have to do with the cores, but this has to do with the hot box samples. I did some research last year, and I took some samples out of the windrow, and then I took some samples behind the paver. And I did testing on all that material. I might be one of the few guys from the DOT side of it that I would really like us to stop. I'd like to get off the surface of that mat on the surface. And the numbers that I've come across so far are looking really good. So I kind of talked with my boss, Greg Durbin, about it, and we're going to do a couple projects this year, maybe out the windrow and out from behind the paver, and then maybe just go with the project out of the windrow and just kind of see where these numbers are going to go. I mean, we worry about segregation. We hear that all the time. We're worried about segregation. Well, we're taking 4 cuts out of a mat, and what do we put back in that hole? know, I mean, we're taking it off the side, or we're taking it out of the auger, or what are you putting back in there? You know, them are the first spots that are gonna go bad later on down the road. You can never get density when you're taking a bigger cut out of the back of the paver. It's not gonna happen. We've seen that, we've proven that. So, you know, I know all the engineers have their own theories about how to go about doing that, but in our district, I'd like to keep researching it, and hopefully, maybe in the future, we can take it this direction. I just thought I'd share that with you, the research that I am doing, so.
Next question.
Good morning, gentlemen. Bill Rosner, EPAI. Thank you for helping us out today. I really appreciate that. What do you think in the last year? What was your biggest challenge down the line? What was your biggest challenge that you faced on a particular job or in your job that maybe you could shed some light on and help some of these folks out too?
I'll start. I think when we talk about technology, and I've noticed a couple projects that I was on last summer I should say, safety. And the cell phone use that the people were using out there I mean, we had numerous times where we had people driving across a hot mat because it was on their cell phone. And with the times these days, I just think safety is a big thing, and we can never watch out for each other enough, or yourself enough. It's only going to get worse, I think, unless they change the laws in Iowa with the cell phone use. And so that's the biggest thing I seen last year, was just safety and the way cell phones are being used, and not paying attention to road workers out there. And so that's what I have.
I ended up having an opportunity this year, as everybody says, you know what, it's great to get new equipment. We got a new asphalt plant. The biggest challenge that I had was, fortunately, I had my lab that I worked out of that I could depend on, and I trusted what my equipment was in that lab, because I'll tell you what, folks, a new asphalt plant, anybody that's ever been around one, you got to get the bugs worked out of it, and things need to be, things get tweaked, and you got to make sure that you got a good, consistent product all the while, and you got to work through those. And that was probably the biggest challenge. And I think there's other guys that know me realize that's probably the biggest challenge I faced this year. But we made it through it without any major hurdles, and I think we're whistling down the road now. But I met a lot of new industrial engineers and met a lot of new people, and I learned a lot about the intricacies of an asphalt plant that I never knew. And I got that experience because I got to talk to the engineers that come out from the companies for the equipment that we bought, just to have an understanding of how things operated. So those are the things that's something, if you ever get a new plant, it's exciting, it's neat, it's really awesome to see, and it's awesome to work on. But you know what, the new technology that's in them, there's a lot of things that you got to be able to have an understanding of in order to make sure that when you make a change on something, how it's going to impact even how that plant operates.
Do you have a calibration tank?
We don't have a calibration tank, no.
Everybody get one, please.
I think Jane touched on some of the safety issues that I've noticed. I guess one other thing is bubbles in the interlayer. That seems to be an issue, and it's so random, and it's a tough one to figure, you know. I think there's definitely some moisture that's getting pumped up under that layer and trapped. But, you know, I think the only way we really can address it is to address the drainage underneath. But anyway, it's kind of a mystery on some of the cases, but that's one challenge.
Jeff, have you had any issues after the fact, a year or two later, where those bubbles were?
Really haven't seen any problems, but I'm not sure that the best solution is to go out with a drill and drill them all.
Oh,
But
it's more over the PC too, right? We've noticed it's over the PC concrete that is where we're having the bubble issues.
yeah, like I said, I think it seems to be a pumping issue and drawing the moisture up underneath that layer.
One of the things everybody up here stressed on communication part of it. I know my first interlayer project, everything I knew about asphalt, when it's high in oil like that, it's gonna run, it's gonna move, how can it not? I think the year before my first one, Scott Keeter gave a talk on that interlayer at these conferences. I talked to Scott quite a bit. I talked to Denny on how it works. How does it not rot and move? And it doesn't. You roll it once and it sits. Just communicate with those contractors or anybody, ask questions. There's a lot of experience out there you're missing out on if you're not asking.
I guess our biggest challenge last year was on a cold in place job. We had let 12 miles of cold in place, and we're big advocates of that process in Webster County. We've had really good luck with it. Bids came in good. We were able to add in 2 miles of additional work. Had to kind of scramble to figure out what we had underneath that additional 2 miles. We found out we had a fabric layer that was just right at our. We normally cold in place 3 inches, and this fabric is right at 3 inches. So we got a hold of Mid-States, our subcontractor, and asked him, you know, how we thought we could handle that. They proposed that we would go down to 3.5 inches, cut through that. They said most of the time that'll work. There's kind of 2 types of fabric out there that they were using a lot in the late 90s, early 2000s. The one type of fabric will cut up, it just kind of shreds up into nothing and goes back into the mat. It's not a problem. The second type of fabric, it doesn't work quite so well. So we get to that 2 miles, of course, that was on a Saturday morning. Take off down the road with it, and it was the second type that did not work well. We had shreds of fabric that were 3 inches wide by 12 to 24 inches long. I mean, within a few hundred feet, the mill's plugged up, the screen on top of the crusher's plugged up. A big guy from Minnesota with a big pitchfork trying to shovel this stuff off the top, and it wasn't working. You know, luckily, I've worked with that foreman from Mid-States for I think 4 or 5 years in a row, and they had one of their superintendents there as well that day. Made some adjustments. We ended up, they pulled their mill head up to just above the fabric layer, and so we were running 2.5, 2 3/4 inches, and we were able to kind of just skim across the top of it. It would still grab it every once in a while and pull it up, and they'd have to, you know, scoop some off the top of the screen and bag it up. But it ended up turning out okay. Again, you know, it goes back to just good communication. We let them know ahead of time that, hey, we've got this in there, and so they were prepared to have some extra personnel that day there. One of the challenges we've got going forward is just we're in an era now where we're 20 years removed from when this fabric was popular, and so I've got 3 or 4 projects coming up over the next years that all have fabric in them. So it's just it's going to be a challenge to how to deal with that later, so.
Additional comments or questions? Okay, we're gonna learn about lunch.
All right, one more time, if we could we thank Renee, our moderator, and all our speakers this morning?